Welcome back to part 3 of this Bluetti high capacity power bank series, and in this final episode we're going to be comparing the two power banks we've reviewed already, the ELITE200 V2 and its predecessor, the AC200L. Now if you want a deep dive on each of those power banks, I would suggest you watch those two other videos first. They're not very long, and then go ahead and jump right back into this one. But don't worry, it's not a prerequisite. We're still going to go over the key similarities and the differences of each of these power banks so that you can decide which one is right for you. So let's just jump right into it. So let's start with similarities. As far as design is concerned, you'll see that they both have the standard Bluetti design that we've all come to love. Same cube style shape makes it so easy to pack and pack around it because there's no awkward shapes that kind of get in the way. Both of these have built-in handles, which is critical because these are pretty heavy power banks and you don't want any kind of handles that are just gonna break off. But you also don't want any handles that are kind of sticking out and making the shape a bit awkward. They both have vents on each side to promote proper airflow, and neither of them have wireless charging on top, which to me is a bummer because I really like the wireless charging that Bluetti has. Layout for the ports, pretty much standard with all Bluetti layouts. Standard display with your capacity status right in the middle, and then right below that, how many hours you have until the battery gets to empty. Below the display, you have your 3 buttons. The middle ones are different on each of these, but the left and the right are similar. You have your DC on the left, your AC on the right, and you press either one of those buttons to activate which you want to be using, the AC or the DC. Speaking of DC, below those buttons you have your USB ports. Both of these will give you 2 USB-Cs at 100 watts and 2 USB-As. And as far as AC ports, both of these units give you 4 of them. It's also worth mentioning that both AC ports are pure sine wave. Both of these do have power lifting mode, which is a great feature when you need to power up some of those higher amperage, higher wattage devices, things like electric blankets and hair dryers. Both of these have Bluetooth connectivity, so you can monitor these batteries with their app, and they both have a lithium iron phosphate battery, which is a lot safer and a lot more efficient. But that's pretty much where the similarities end. So let's talk capacity, because that's pretty much the most important thing to consider when buying a power bank. The AC200L, this one is 2,400 watts with 2,048 watt hours. However, the new ELITE200 V2, this one has 2,600 watts with 2,073.6 watt hours. So you're actually getting more power and higher capacity in a much smaller package. So you can see there's a pretty huge size difference between the AC200L and the ELITE200 V2. The AC200L is about 16.5 inches wide, 14.5 inches tall, and about 11 inches deep. The ELITE200 V2 is about 13.78 inches wide, 12.74 inches tall, and about 9.84 inches deep. What's up with all the decimals? You have no idea how many takes it just took for me to remember that. Now, another really important thing to consider is the weight, because I know that some of us are very weight conscious when it comes to how much cargo we're putting in our vehicles. And the AC200L clocks in right around 62 pounds, whereas the ELITE200 V2 clocks in right around 53 pounds. They're both really heavy, but this is about 9 pounds lighter. Now, even if the ports are pretty much laid out the same, there are some key differences here. First of all, the power button on this one, right up at the top, you get this one big giant power button, whereas the power button over here is right in the middle. This middle button is actually USB, so you would press the DC button to turn these DC ports on, the USB to turn these USB ports on, and then the AC to utilize the AC ports that are over here. This one is just DC, which controls these, and then AC, which controls these. On the ELITE200, you'll see that you have your DC and solar input here if you're going to charge it up back that way. And then to charge this thing back up with AC, on the ELITE200, you have your AC port in the middle, and then you have your grounding port on the left if you're the kind of person who likes to ground your power banks, and then you have your circuit protector to the right. On the AC200L, all of your inputs are in one place. You have your DC up at the top, your AC at the bottom, you have your battery extending port here, so if you buy one of Bluetti's extender batteries, you can plug it right into that, and then your grounding port is here next to the circuit protector there. Now as far as USB ports, those USB-Cs are going to be the same at 100 watts each, but with USB-As, if you're still using USB-As, the USB-A on the AC200L are 18 watts, whereas on the ELITE200, those are only 15 watts. On the AC side of things, these four will provide 120 volts, but on the AC200L, it's 2,400 watts, and on the ELITE200, it's 2,600 watts. The ELITE200L says each of these sockets are 20 amp max, but it doesn't give me kind of information on that here. But if you'll notice, one big key difference on the AC200L is this one has that gigantic 30 amp 125 volt socket. So if you're the kind of person that needs one of these sockets, maybe for your RV or whatever it is that you're trying to power up, they have that on the AC200L, but you do not get that on the ELITE200. Now you might say, okay, well that's great, but I don't use a 30 amp socket, so for me it's a no-brainer. I'm gonna go with the smaller, lighter, and higher capacity power bank. Sounds good. However, one big key difference between the AC200L and the ELITE200 V2, you'll notice that on the AC200L, all these ports have covers, meaning this is the kind of power bank you can put in the truck bed and it'll basically be protected from the weather. It's not weatherproof, but it will withstand like the dust and some rain. Basically anything that the environment might throw at it, it's all these ports are protected with these covers, even the inputs. God, that's loud. On the sides. I think the reason why they didn't put that same kind of protection on the ELITE200 is because it's pretty compact enough that you can keep this in your vehicle and it won't get in the way, whereas something like this may not be something that you want to keep inside the vehicle. It might be something you're going to put like on the truck bed because it is heavy, it's pretty big. But if that's something important to you, like my friend Brad wants a power bank he can put in the truck bed of his Gladiator, this would probably be the best choice if you don't have some sort of camper and you just have basically an open truck bed. But for me, it's kind of a no-brainer though. I have a Jeep and a 4Runner. Everything pretty much stays inside the vehicle and I don't need a 30 amp plug. So I would probably go with the ELITE200 V2 just because it's smaller, it's lighter, and it has higher capacity. All right, and there you go. Two of Bluetti's larger capacity power banks, the ELITE200 V2 and the AC200L. Now, obviously, Bluetti has other larger capacity power banks. I know that there are people who are really partial and absolutely love the AC200P, so that's something you might also want to look into. But in my experience, I don't think there's ever going to be like a one and done power bank. Each of these definitely have their pros and cons. This one has that 30 amp plug, plus it's also weatherproof where this one is not. However, this one is smaller, larger capacity, and a little bit lighter. You're just gonna have to do your own due diligence. Really try to figure out what is it you need a power bank for and what you are truly charging up when you're out and for how long you need to keep those things charged up. Answering those key questions will help you figure out which power bank is right for you. But don't forget that either of these power banks or any of Bluetti's power banks, or actually any power bank at all that has an MC4 connector, you can utilize the Bluetti Charger 1 to charge these things up much faster in your vehicle while you're on the go. More information about the Charger 1 can be found in my previous video, so if you haven't checked that video out yet, go and do so. But I will be doing an install video on this in the 4Runner shortly, so just check back on this channel for that. However, I do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I gave you enough information to help you decide which power bank is right for you. If it was helpful, please make sure you smash, actually, don't smash, compare like buttons before deciding which one to press. Click that notification bell so we can let you be aware of new videos when they come out. And if it moves you, support us on Patreon. It gives you access to all of our videos before everyone else and gives you access to our live streams when we do them. And as always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at BeSuburban4601. My name is Asia Sampson, and I will see you next time. Now comes the part where I have to lug these things back into the house. All right. Anybody got the number to my chiropractor?